A man on a 5-month solo voyage becomes lost at sea.
This is the Virginia Gene with an SOS call. Over.
With communications cut off, he tries to track a course home. Battling the elements, he struggles to survive in All Is Lost.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Rachel. Next up is All Is Lost, starring Robert Redford. We've all just seen it. Is all lost?
This film is written and directed by J.C. Chandor, who also gave us Margin Call. Tells the story of an old man named in the film Our Man. We don't ever hear his name. He is on a yacht in the middle of nowhere, and he encounters some problems with his boat, some crazy storms.
It's just an old man in the sea.
Just an old man in the sea. It's how apt.
What I find interesting is that the script was actually not a script. It was 30 pages of prose.
Oh.
And that's all it was, because really there is no dialogue. There is a voiceover at the beginning, which gives you a tiny bit of character, and then he swears a couple times, like really loud.
Yeah.
And that's the dialogue.
But, well, the script does have an absurdly thorough knowledge of boating and sailing. Clearly, Chandor must have done some homework or has some sort of
he
background
grew up with sailboats.
Yeah, there was.
And that is apparent. This is a one-person film. So you're charting dangerous territory. This is sort of like Life of Pi or Castaway, if you remember the Tom Hanks film.
Totally.
When you're doing a one-person film, you can use humor, you can use backstory, you need to use something to get yourself very involved with this character. We know the end of the story before the story starts, or
well,
we think we do.
And we don't.
We think we do. So immediately, there's not as much suspense here. This becomes a process film.
With his voiceover at the beginning, he's writing clearly to, it seems like family or friends, and he has this guilt for the way he's treated them. I wanted a little bit more so that I cared about the situation. Because we didn't know much about him, then we project ourselves onto him.
Yes,
and
totally.
so then I was kind of like, what would I do in this situation? And how would I handle this situation? And in that, I actually felt like, you know what, if I get lost in sea, now I know some things to do and not do.
The acting is very strong, because to me that's where I get the connection to the character, because of these really subtle moments. Everything he does very slowly. I mean, yes, Robert Redford is an older man, so he's gonna move a little slower, but he's playing an old man on a yacht, and he's moving very deliberately, very slowly, always grabbing onto things. I mean, it's all these nuances in his physical performance that really connect me to his character. I mean, he has no dialogue, so it has to be all physical performance.
And see, I disagree with you
this
there.
is career revitalizing, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, he's not directing himself, which is a real good thing, I think, for an actor, especially him in particular.
Robert Redford is like 76 years old. So this is a physically demanding role for him, and you could feel it every step of the way.
All of the physical stuff was great, the physical exhaustion. It was the stuff that should have been easy for him. The emotional vulnerability, that for me is what was missing. There are times when he's mugging, and that takes me out. And anytime he has to show more than just ordinary acting moments, anytime he has to show vulnerability, there is such acting going on. And I don't know if it's partly the director saying, this is a plot point, make sure this is clear.
With that said, what did we think about the direction and production?
It has a lot of directorial skill. I did notice one thing in particular that really bothered me, and when he's in the first storm, the background, the ocean, and all the storm elements are green screened, and it's very, very clear. And that was a little disappointing, because everything else in terms of the production is very strong. The editing is incredible. I mean, because there's no talking and we're looking so much at all the little things that he's doing, the edit has to be very clear. The continuity has to be very clear, and it is.
I appreciated the fact that they didn't rely on these heavy-handed Hollywood beats where, you know, somebody's almost gets chopped off by a shark and then he realizes he wants to live. It was all pretty subtle.
What you have here is a man versus nature and man versus himself film. But without really delving into those two themes, I don't feel like I was ever really thinking about that.
It's an experience kind of film. It's the kind of movie that isn't really trying to make a statement. It's just trying to show you a situation that is extraordinary.
I guess I feel like I've seen that sort of film before, and I want it to say something or I want to feel something. If it doesn't make me think, and if it doesn't make me feel, then I'm not totally sure why I'm watching it.
This isn't a movie that you need to rush out to see, but I think you should see it on the big screen. So for that, I'm going to say, see it.
All Is Lost is going to please all audiences. Don't get lost while finding the theater. See it.
It's well made, it's interesting, but it doesn't plumb the depths of humanity. And for that, I give it a stream it.
So our votes add up to 2.5 tickets, which is a see it for all is lost. Cheers.
We won. We didn't lose.
I feel lukewarm.
I was not lost.
You might do
Aaron,
that.
look at Rachel. That's good eye line.
I give great eyeline.
You do. You do.